Hi everyone. In this video, we are going to learn how to multiply fractions and rational expressions. We have quite a few learning objectives, 9 of those, 9 of them. So let's do this one by one. First, how to multiply two fractions. We have a example here, 1/2 times 2/3. And the goal is not just get a number as the answer. We want to make sense out of it. First, 2/3 means you divide the whole thing into 3 equal parts and you take 2 parts, like here. We divide this whole thing into 3 equal parts, we get 2 parts. So this part, let me highlight it. This is 2/3, right? This is 2/3. Now, when we multiply half, we get half of this 2/3. Let's say certainly the result is this, right? The result is this. Half of this two yellow blocks represent 2/3. We get half of that. That's 1/3, right? We already know the answer. But let's see from the other angle, another angle. This 2/3 can be written as 4/6. We already learned equivalent fraction, right? If we multiply both sides by 2, we get 4/6. Now, this is a 4/6. 4/6 really means divide the whole thing into 6 equal parts. We get 4 of those. Say now this is still the same thing. I divided it into 6 equal parts, and we get 4 out of it. So apparently, and it's equivalent, right? The 2/3, the 4/6, they're the same thing. Now we'll get half of this. If we get half of this 2/3, we just get 2 smaller blocks instead of 1 bigger block here, right? So our final answer is this part. We got 2 blocks out of 6. That's our answer. 2 out of 6. So our answer actually is 2 out of 6. Now, if we look at this multiplication, if we just multiply numerator by numerator and denominator multiply denominator, what do we get? We get 2/6. That's our answer. So let's look at next example. We have another one. This time we're going to multiply 3/4 and 5/8. And this is not as apparent as the first one, right? But we can still demonstrate this visually. First, 5/8 means we divide the whole thing into 8 equal parts, we get 5 of those. Now look at the first one. I divide this whole thing into 8 equal parts, we get 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this yellow part represents 5/8, right? So this is 5/8. Now 5/8 is equivalent to, if we multiply by 4 on both sides, equivalent to 20 over 32. That means if I divide the whole thing into this whole thing into 32 parts instead of 8 parts, I get 20 parts, which is equivalent to 5 out of 8. Now this is a 32. Still the same thing. I divided it into 32 equal parts and I get 20 parts. Let's see, where is 20? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right here. This is exactly equivalent to 5/8. So I'm going to highlight it. That's what they call equivalent fractions. Now, out of this 20 smaller yellow blocks, I need to get 3/4 of it, 3/4 of it, right? In other words, I need to divide this 20 yellow blocks into 4 equal parts. I take 3 parts. That's the meaning of fraction. So let's get divided into 4 equal parts. Since we have 20 blocks, 4 equal parts means each one has 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's one block, bigger block, one part, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Another part, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Another part, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I divided into 4 equal parts. And I suppose to get 3 of those, 1, 2, 3. So this represents 3/4 of the 5/8. How many blocks in here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Totally 15. So this is our final answer. Out of 32 smaller blocks, we should get 15, which is equivalent to 3/4 of 5/8. That is 15 out of 32. Now, look at this. 15 is the result of multiplying numerators, and 32 is the result of multiplying denominators, just like that half times 2/3. So conclusion is that to multiply two fractions, we just multiply numerators by multiply numerators together and denominators together. Just multiply them horizontally. Multiply, multiply. So that's very easy to do actually. Now let's look at some examples. We just do multiplication now. We don't need to draw this. It's just show people how multiplication of fractions work. Okay. How those multiplications work. Now we multiply these two together. Negative times positive, the result will be negative, right? Then 2 times 1 is 2. 3 times 5, 15. So that's our final answer. Next one. Negative times negative is positive. We don't need to write a positive sign. 5 times 9, 45. 7 times 11, that's 77. So 45 over 77. Now, this is your first set of exercise problems. Now, all of the answers to the exercise questions are in the comment area below the video. Now, let's look at our next objective. We multiply and then simplify fractions. So for this particular example, I have two approaches to see which one is better. First, we multiply them together. 6 8 multiply 10 15th. We just multiply them together as 0. 6 times 10, 60. 8 times 15, 120. Then we simplify that. You know that 60 is half of 120, right? But if you don't see that, that's fine. 0 means 10 at the end. So divide by 10 on both sides. Now you can divide by 6 on both sides, get 1/2. So the final answer is 1/2. Now, second approach. Second approach is that we can simplify these fractions before we multiply. So when you simplify a fraction, we just cancel out the common factor between the numerator and denominator. For example, in this case, I can see 6 and 8 both can be divided by 2, right? Divided by 2, I get 3. I get divided by 2, I get 4. Now I can also see the 3 and 15 both can be divided by 3. As long as one number comes from numerator, the other one comes from denominator, you can simplify them. Doesn't matter which one belongs to which. This one belongs to this fraction, 15 belongs to the second fraction, doesn't matter. Eventually, all of denominators belong to the same belong to the same denominator in the same fraction. So divided by 3, I get 1, divided by 3, I get 5. Now, look at this two. 10, 5, both can be divided by 5. Divided by 5, I get 1, divided by 5, I get 2. Now look at this two, both can be divided by 2. Divided by 2, I get 1, divided by 2, I get 2. Now eventually I only get 1 left on the top. 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 1 is 2. So this way you can avoid reducing a fraction with big numbers. Imagine this is a double-digit number. You could have triple-digit number here on either side. Now this is your second exercise set. 4 questions. Now next, let's look at how we multiply mixed numbers. And basically, when we multiply mixed numbers, we want to convert mixed numbers into improper fraction and then go through that standard process. So let's look at our first example. And I hope you still remember how to convert a mixed number into a improper fraction. Basically, we multiply and add. Multiply the denominator with whole number and add to the numerator. So for the first one, we get a 6 on the bottom. 6 times 3 is 18 plus 1, that's 19. Second one, we have 2 on the bottom. 2 times 10 is 20. 20 plus 1 is 21. Now we want to simplify before we multiply. See, these two are going to get a much bigger number. But between 6 and 21, we can divide both sides by 3. So this is going to be 2, this is going to be 7. Now double check to see if there's other simplification we can do. In this case, no. So that's the final answer. 2 times 2 is 4. Now 7 times 19. Let's use a calculator. $133. Usually we want to write our final product in the mixed number format because mixed number is easy for people to see how big the number is, the value of this fraction is. So 133 divided by 4, I get a 3 here, that's 12. Another 13, that's a 3. 12, remainder is 1. So the quotient is 33, remainder is 1, we divide by 4. So we got 33 and 1/4. So with mixed number, it's much easier for people to get a feeling how big this number is, right? Just 1/4 more than 33. It's much easier than looking at this. Okay, let's look at our second example here. Now, when we multiply a fraction by a whole number is like numerator because you can always put 1 on the bottom. So this is on the top, this is on the bottom. We can simplify between these two, at least both can be divided by 4, right? Divided by 4, we get 2, divided by 4, we get 5. Now we can multiply them together. 5 times 3, 15. 2 times 1 is 2. Now convert this to mixed number, we get a 7.5. 15 divided by 2 is 7, with 1 as a remainder. Yep. Another set of exercise problems. This basic skills is very important, so make sure you do the exercise problems. Example number 4, we got 2 more questions here. Multiply and write the product in the lowest term. There's no huge difference, we just have negative numbers involved. First, convert each one into improper fraction. When you convert improper fraction, make sure you do the 5 times 3, not -3, because this negative sign is for this whole thing. It's like there is a hidden parenthesis here. So negative 5 times 3, 15, plus 1, 16, times 9 on the bottom. This is 18 plus 2, 20. Now simplify before we multiply. Divided by 5, we get 4. 5 divided by 5, we get 1. 16 between 9 and 16 cannot be simplified because 9 can be divided by 3, 16 cannot be divided by 3. Now let's see what we get. Negative 9 on the bottom. 16 times 4 is 64. So convert it back to mixed number. Divided by 9. 7 give us 63. That's 1. So we get negative 7 and 1 over 9. That's our final answer. Next one, we convert the mixed number to improper fraction. First is the 16 plus 3, 19. 19 over 8 times negative 12. So this two can be simplified by dividing by 4, right? I got 2, I got 3. So the result is negative because positive number multiplied by negative number. 3 times 59, 3 times 19 is 57 and over 2. So 56 divided by 2 is 28. So negative 28 and a half. More exercise. Now, next one, we're going to multiply rational expressions, such as this one. So the way we do it basically is the same. We just have to work with variables instead of numbers. First, look at the number part. Negative times negative is positive. And then 3 and 9 can be canceled. 3 canceled, divided by 3 on both sides. Same thing for this pair between 10 and 5. We can divide by 5 on both sides. So in terms of numbers, we have 2 left on the top, 3 left on the bottom. Now let's look at letters. And for A, we don't have any A on the bottom to cancel anything. So A times A is A square. Now how about a B? We have B square on the top, B on the bottom. This B canceled. We have one more B left on the top. So this is our final answer. It's very easy, actually. Okay, next one. We have another example here. Just repeat this whole process, basically. We cancel 3, we get 3 left on the bottom. And, oh, isn't this the same thing? Yeah, it is the same. It is the same thing. I don't know why I do it twice. Oh, maybe I just want some room to work on this page instead of the previous page. So let's move on to the next topic. And this is your exercise. Yeah. And next topic is simplify fractions raised to a power. This is a fraction as a base raised to a power. First, let's look at this formula to see if this formula makes sense or not. Basically, what this formula says is that if you have a fraction as a base raised to a power, you use each number in this fraction raised to the same power. So a to the nth power, b to the nth power. In other words, just distribute this exponent to each number inside if you have a fraction. Okay, now let's make sense out of this. Instead of using n, let's use a specific number. For example, 3. So from the definition of the exponential operation, which is that you multiply this base by itself this many times by definition. So a over b times a over b times a over b. And we now know that when we multiply fractions, we multiply numerators together, right? A times a times a, that's a cube. B times b times b, that's b cube. C is equivalent to you distribute this exponent to each component inside. Okay, now let's look at our next example. Straightforward. 2 to the fourth power, 3 to the fourth power. 2 to the fourth power is a 16. 3 to the fourth power is 81. So that's our final answer. And if you want to use calculator, let's use calculator to verify the result. 2, this is my power button. General power button can be any power. So I push this button. 2 to the power of 4 equals 16. And 3 to the power of 4, 81. So we get 16 over 81. And that is our answer. Now, more exercise. Now, our example, number 7, we have a rational expression raised to third power. And basically, each one of these raised to the same power. So we get negative 2x squared to the power of 3 and 5y to the power of 3. Now, remember, third power means multiply itself 3 times, right? So we're going to have negative 2x squared times negative 2x squared times negative 2x squared. Same thing for the bottom part, 5y times 5y times 5y. So let's see what we get. 3 negative number multiplied together still negative. So we get negative 8. X squared times x squared times x squared. Totally we have 6x. X squared means x times x, x times x, x times x, and they all multiply together. Totally 6. We get x to the 6th power. On the bottom, 5 times 5 times 5 is 125. Y times y times y is y cubed. So this is our final answer. And more exercise problems. Now, next learning objective, solve applications involving multiplying fractions. So basically, we just have some multiplication problems where you need to multiply fractions. So let's look at the meaning of how do we know, by the way, in the application problem, when you read those descriptions, how do you know it's going to be a multiplication of fractions? So let's look at this. When we have this situation where it says a fraction of something, a fraction of an amount, really means that fraction multiplied by that amount. So for example, 3/4 of $100, and you know how much from daily life, from common sense, right? 3/4 of $100, that's $75. So how do I get $75? A fraction of amount means fraction times that amount. So if we do the multiplication, remember this whole number is equivalent to numerator on the top because you can always put a 1 on the bottom. So both can be divided by 4. 100 divided by 4 is 25. There's nothing left on the bottom, which is 1. So we don't need to divide by 1. 3 times 25 is 75. And you know this makes sense, right? So a fraction of amount means that fraction multiplied by that amount. Now let's look at our first application problems. Advertisement claims that 4 out of 5 dentists choose Crest toothpaste. If you were to visit a dental conference that has 345 dentists in attendance, how many would you expect to choose Crest toothpaste based on the ad's claim? In other words, 4 out of 5 dentists will choose Crest toothpaste. Now, at this conference, there are 345 dentists. So 4 out of 5 of those will choose the Crest toothpaste. So how many of them? Let's do the calculation. 4/5 of this total number of dentists in attendance will choose Christ toothpaste. So we just need to multiply this fraction with this amount. And this number ending with 5, which means it can be divided by 5. So we just divide by 5. 6, 5 times 6 is 30, 45. 45 divided by 5 is 9, 69. And 4 times 69 equals 69 times 4 equals 276. So you can expect 276 dentists at the conference will choose Christ toothpaste. By the way, if you want to use calculator, you don't have to simplify that. It's simply multiply 4 by 345, then divide by 5. Because we know the number on the bottom denominator is also called divisor. So let's try that. 4 times 345 divided by 5 equals 276. Exercise number 8, we got 2 application problems. Now let's look at our example number 9. 3/4 of the students taking a particular history course passed the course. Of these, 1/3 earned an A. What fraction of all students taking the course earned an A? So first, we are told that 3/4 of all the students taking the test, taking the course, passed the course. So that means 3/4 of all of those. X represent all of those students who take this course. Okay, so this, whatever this equal to, represent those who passed this course. And our question is 1/3 of those who passed earn an A. So 1/3 of this amount, this represents those who passed. Earn an A. So 1/3 of those who passed earn an A. So we can multiply these two together because in multiplication, order doesn't make any difference. And these two cancel out. So we get 1/4 times X. X represents all of those who take this course, right? So that's our answer. So the answer is 1/4, 1/4 of all students taking the course earned an A. So our answer is 1/4. Answer, they ask us a fraction, not this whole thing, okay? Answer is 1/4. 1/4 of all students taking the course earned an A. Now, actually more exercise, 9 of those, 2 of those, number 9, exercise number 9. Now, let's look at the area of a triangle. This are all applications involving multiplying fractions. And the formula to calculate the area of triangle is given by area equals half times base times height. Base can be any side of the triangle, and h is the height on the base. I cannot overemphasize this because students make common mistake. As long as they have this h and b and h given, they just plug the numbers and do the calculation. Now, this is the requirement. We have 3 scenarios. Suppose this is our b, and this is our h, okay? And this is where you can use the formula, area equals half times b times h. The requirement is that this h has to be on this base you use. Any one of the 3 sides can be served as a base, but your height has to be on the base. In other words, the height has to be perpendicular to the base. Let me give you a scenario where people make that common mistake, okay? So this triangle, people are given b equals 20, let's say centimeters, and people also are given, say, height here. They label this one as h, this side as h equals say 10 centimeters. And then they ask people to calculate the area. People just plug in the numbers, base times height, and this is 100 centimeters square, and this is totally wrong. The reason, this h is perpendicular to this side. If you want to use that formula, you need the length of this side, not this one. But if you want to use 20, that's fine. You need a height in here. You need this length, not this one for the height. That's why we need to understand the formula. So there are three scenarios for you to use this formula. This is one. Another situation is that you could have a right triangle. Right triangle means these two sides are perpendicular. If this one I use as base, where is my height? We can get a clue from the previous one. Say each triangle has three vertices, right? And two of those three vertices are already on this side called the base. So you draw your height from the vertex that is not on the base. Draw a perpendicular line to the base. That's called height. Same thing here. So this is the base. I have to draw my height from outside this base, which is here. When you draw that, this height happens to be one side of this right triangle. In other words, in a right triangle, one side of the two perpendicular sides serve as a base, the other side serves as the height. The third scenario is this. So you got a triangle again. If I use this one as a base, which one is my height? Where is my height? Same thing. You draw your height from outside the base, from this vertex, perpendicular to the base. This is your h. In other words, put them together. Your height could be inside the triangle, could be one side of triangle, could be outside the triangle. In either case, you can use this formula, same formula, as long as height is perpendicular to the base. Now let's look at our next example. A recycling company produces triangle stickers that are 5.5 inches long along the base and 4 3/4 inches high. Find the area. So this is the standard one. This is the base, 5.5 inches long, and this is the height, 4 3/4. So now area, we already know half times base times height. So half times 5.1/2 times 4 3/4. So you can see this is nothing more than mixed number multiplication. Let's do that. Half, we convert mixed number into improper fraction, multiply height. So 11/2. Multiply height. 16, 19/4. Now apparently nothing can be cancelled. Multiply them together. This is 4 times 4, 16. 11 times 19 is 209. Let's double check. $409. Then we write our answer as a mixed number. If you want to get a quick whole number, just use 209 divided by 16 using calculator. We got 13. 13. How do we get a remainder? Very easy. It's just 216 minus 16 times 13. So remainder is 1. So that's 1/16. If we go through division process, we can double check this is the right answer. Let's do that. 209 divided by 16. So 1 is here, that's 13. This is 779. And next one is 3. 3, that's 3 divided by 16 is 16. No wonder. That's a 4. And 3 times 16 is 48. Remainder is 1. See, you got 13. 16 on the bottom as a divisor, remainder is 1. So this way you can convert a mixed number to convert an improper fraction to mixed number super fast. Just use the calculator to division. Now this is the exercise problems. Now the last, I think this is the last objective, maybe second to the last. And we're going to work with circles. First, what is the radius? What is the diameter? Radius is distance from the center of the circle to the edge. This is called the radius. What is the diameter of a circle? You go from one side to the other side of circle through the center of circle, and this is called diameter. Apparently, one diameter equals 2 radius, because from here to here is radius, from here to here another radius. So diameter equals 2 radius. That's naturally true by definition. Okay. Now move on to the next one. Example number 1. Find the diameter of the circle shown below. So apparently we are given radius. We are looking for diameter. So if we know what diameter is, it's just double of the radius. So diameter equals 2 times 3 and 5/8. So multiplication with mixed numbers, we need to convert the mixed number into a proper fraction. Multiply and add. 24 plus 5, 29. But between 2 and 8, 2 can be cancelled. We get 4. So 29 over 4. 29 divided by 4 is say 6 times 7 is 28. Remainder is 1. Yeah. You can double check, multiply, add. That's 29. So radius diameter is 7¼ Now next one, examples. This is an exercise very much the same, where you're given diameter, you are looking for radius. In that case, you just divide by 2. Oh, you're finding diameter given radius, you multiply by 2 to get diameter, just like what we did here. Now, example number 12. Find the radius of the circle shown below. In this case, it's just opposite, right? We are given diameter, we're looking for radius. Since radius is half of diameter, so we're just using this diameter, this radius equals diameter divided by 2, right? Half of it, so 17 over 2. This is in feet, but we want to convert it to mixed number. 17 divided by 2 is 8½ feet. That's the radius. So now the next set of exercise is on the next page. It's very similar. You're given diameter, you ask to find the radius. Now the last topic, find the circumference of a circle. Circumference of circle is total length of the circle. So we have 2 formulas. So this is a circle, this is the radius. If you're given radius using this formula, if you're given the diameter, which is called d, this is d, this whole thing, using this formula, because 1d equals 2r. If you replace d with 2r, you get the exact same formula. Just depending on which one is given. Now, example 13. Find the circumference of the circle shown below. Now this one we are given radius, right? So we are going to use the first formula. Circumference equals 2 pi r, 2 pi times radius. Now in this problem, since we are working with multiplication of fractions, even though you know pi is 3.14, actually 3.14, 159 and many digits. But we can use, in this case, we can use a fraction to approximate pi, which is 22 over 7. So this is a 3.14 something, close to pi. So let's say 22 divided by 7 equals 3.142857. So we need fraction, we use this fraction to replace pi. It's not exact. This is an approximate pi. I should write it this way. So as a result, this circumference won't be exact until you reach the full pi. You use the full pi. So it approximately equals to 2 times 22/7 times r, which is 4 2/3. Now, when you convert this mixed number into improper fraction, here I use equal sign because this what I'm going to write will be exactly equal to this, but this is not exact circumference. That's why we have this approximate sign in here. So 2 times 22/7 times 3, 12 plus 2, that's 14. Now simplify it as much as we can. Divided by 7, this is 1, this is 2. Now nothing can be divided by 3 now. So 3 on the bottom. We have 4, 2 times 4, 4 times 22 is 88. Now convert it back into mixed number. This is how you do that. You can calculate it quickly. 88 divided by 3 to see whole number part. That's 29. 29. Now let's look at the remainder. Use 88 minus these two multiplied together. So 88 minus 3 times 29. 1. So we get 29 and 1/3. It makes sense. If you multiply them together, 29 times 3, that's 87. Plus 1, 88. And the unit is centimeters. So the circumference of the circle is 29 and 1/3 centimeters. And this is your last set of exercise problem. This is a long video, and any comments are welcome, and also questions. See you in the next video.